Have you ever had that really specific moment? Usually it strikes on a Sunday night.
Yeah.
Where you sit down and you make this deeply solemn promise to
Oh,
yourself.
yeah, the classic Sunday night reset. We have all been there.
Right. You look at your calendar and you say, you know, okay, this time it is actually going to be different. So
Exactly.
you set a brand new goal. Maybe you buy a new planner or you download some shiny new fitness app. You feel this massive, just undeniable surge of motivation.
You're completely fired up.
Yes. You map out your entire week. You start incredibly strong on Monday morning. And then, well, maybe a few weeks later, or honestly, even just a few days later, you hit a wall.
Yeah, that creeping, heavy disappointment just sets right in.
It really does. You look around and you realize you have fallen right back into the exact same old patterns. You're right back where you started, only now you carry the extra baggage of feeling like, well, like you failed again.
I mean, it is a universally frustrating human experience. And the exhaustion that comes with that cycle, it isn't just physical, it's psychological.
Oh, absolutely.
Because deep down, you know you have the capability, you know you have the intelligence. But somehow the execution just fizzles out and you are left wondering if you're just wired wrong.
I think we've all been there, just staring at the ceiling and wondering why we can't do the thing we genuinely want to do. And that specific cycle of frustration is exactly what we're tackling in today's deep dive.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. We are pulling from a really fascinating set of source materials today from the VictoryWithAsh knowledge base. And the core theme we are unpacking is a concept they call reset rebuilding your foundation.
Which is such a powerful framework.
It is. So our mission today is to strip away all the fluff and figure out exactly why change so often fails. We want to understand the mechanics of why we backslide, and more importantly, how to truly create a fresh starting point, one that actually lasts, right? Not just another failed Sunday night promise.
And that requires a massive shift in how we fundamentally view self-improvement. Because most people approach change by just piling new, shiny ambitions on top of their deeply ingrained old behaviors.
Yeah.
They treat personal growth like adding a fresh coat of paint to a house with a collapsing foundation.
I love that. And actually, the sources have an analogy for this that I want to bring up. They ask you to imagine a gardener, right? A gardener who wants this incredible field of healthy, vibrant plants.
Okay, right.
So they go out and they spend a fortune on the absolute best seeds on the market. They invest in top-of-the-line tools, the most expensive fertilizer.
Right.
But they never actually bother to remove the weeds that are already completely choking the soil.
Right, and what is the biological reality of that garden? Those weeds have an established root system.
Exactly.
They're going to ruthlessly steal the nutrients, the water, the sunlight. I mean, the new expensive seeds never even stand a chance, regardless of how high quality they are.
I think that perfectly captures the futility of how we usually operate. But honestly, even that analogy feels a bit too gentle to me.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, pulling a weed sounds relatively easy,
Yeah.
but in reality, it feels so much harder. I kind of want to challenge this a bit.
Sure, let's hear it.
If the issue isn't a lack of effort, because, I mean, we are trying really hard on those Monday mornings, and it isn't a lack of information since we literally have unlimited knowledge on our phones, why do we keep self-sabotaging? Isn't a reset just a rebranded New Year's resolution? Like, why is this actually different?
That is a great question. It's different because a New Year's resolution relies almost entirely on the illusion of motivation.
Oh, okay.
We live in a culture that absolutely worships motivation. We watch hype videos, we read quotes, we try to pump ourselves up. But motivation, neurologically speaking, is just an emotion.
So it's fleeting.
Exactly. It's a temporary spike in dopamine because you are visualizing a successful future. The problem is that emotions are volatile. They fade. A true reset isn't about chasing a feeling. It's about acknowledging that a weak foundation cannot support a stronger future.
Okay, so what exactly is this foundation? Because we throw that word around a lot. Are we just talking about willpower? Because I have to say, relying on willpower when I'm exhausted after a 10-hour workday, that feels like a losing battle.
You're entirely right to be skeptical of willpower. Relying on willpower is like trying to hold your breath. Eventually, your biology is going to force you to exhale.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the foundation we are talking about is the invisible architecture of your life. It's the structural alignment between your beliefs, your habits, your actions, and your goals.
Alignment. Okay.
Right. Think about the massive contradiction in how most people operate. They desperately want monumental success and unshakable confidence, but their daily automated habit is procrastination.
Ouch. Yeah, that hits close to home.
They want growth, but they are terrified of leaving their comfort zone. They are fundamentally misaligned. Growth is almost never an information problem. It is an implementation problem.
Okay, let's unpack the physics of that implementation.
Hmm.
Because the sources talk about these core principles of a reset, specifically moving from old habits to new ones.
Right.
And I actually want to move away from the garden analogy for a second and use one that I think hits the nail on the head.
Let's do it.
It's like trying to run the latest, most powerful software on a computer that still has a 10-year-old virus-filled operating system.
Well, yeah.
The new software isn't the problem, right? The system running it is the problem. We are just reacting to our environment with this old, glitchy OS instead of living with actual intention.
That is a fantastic way to look at it. If your operating system is bugged, nothing new is going to install correctly. And that brings us to the first core principle of rebuilding that foundation, which is awareness. Yeah. The sources emphasize that awareness precedes change. You cannot update the operating system if you don't know where the bugs are. But awareness doesn't just mean saying, oh, I have a bad habit.
Right, it's deeper than that.
Much deeper. It means auditing your triggers. It means recognizing the precise moment, the specific stressor that causes the system to crash and default to that bad habit.
But let me ask you this. Let's say I do the audit, right? I spot the bad habit. I know I'm wasting 2 hours a night just scrolling on my phone. Why do I keep doing it, even after I become aware of it? Why do we self-sabotage even when we logically know it's ruining our potential?
Because beneath the habit is a narrative. And this is the second major principle the sources highlight. Limiting beliefs create invisible barriers.
Invisible barriers.
Exactly. A bad habit is often just a coping mechanism for a deeper internalized story. Many of us are stopped not by physical reality, not by our bank accounts or our schedules, but by the story we tell ourselves.
I see what you're saying. If my internal monologue is constantly whispering, hey, I'm not the kind of person who follows through, then my brain is actually going to look for ways to prove that true.
Right. It's a phenomenon tied to your reticular activating system. Your brain seeks confirmation bias. If you believe you aren't capable, you will subconsciously engineer a failure to validate that belief.
That is so wild.
It is. So resetting that foundation requires you to actively intercept that narrative. You have to aggressively replace "I'm not capable" with "I can learn." It shifts your identity from a fixed, unchangeable state to a fluid state of potential.
And once you believe you can learn, you have to actually start writing the new code for that operating system. The sources note that old habits create old results. But they don't just say, stop doing the bad thing. They talk about direct swaps.
Because you cannot just delete a behavior completely and leave a vacuum. That old buggy code is still there, waiting. You have to hijack the trigger.
Hijack the trigger. How does that work?
Well, when you feel the stress that makes you reach for your phone to doom scroll, you can't just sit there and rely on willpower to not touch the phone. You have to actively insert a new routine to get a positive dopamine hit elsewhere.
Okay, so like a replacement.
Yes. You replace 30 minutes of scrolling with 30 minutes of learning a new skill or going for a walk. You rewrite the script.
Which requires knowing exactly what you want that new script to do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people feel stuck simply because they have no earthly idea what they actually want. They're just sort of wandering through their week.
Very true.
But the sources point out that clarity creates alignment.
Mm-hmm.
If you define a very specific goal, it reduces your cognitive load. You don't have to debate every little decision anymore. If you know your destination is due north, you know instantly if a daily choice is taking you north or south.
That clarity is what allows you to survive the boring parts of a reset.
The boring parts.
Yeah, because real transformation is usually entirely unglamorous in the moment.
Oh, for sure.
We love the dramatic, overnight success stories we see in movies, but a real reset relies on small changes, creating big transformations. It is the compound interest of tiny 1% daily improvements. People burn out because they try to rewrite the entire operating system in one afternoon.
Okay, so the theory is sound.
Yeah.
We know we need to rewrite the code, hijack the triggers, and take it 1% at a time.
Yeah.
But I want to push back on the reality of doing this alone.
Okay.
We usually treat personal growth as this highly individualized solo mountain climb.
Mm-hmm.
It's just us against the world grinding it out in our garage at 5 a.m.
Mm.
But these sources lean incredibly heavily into the idea of environment and community.
They absolutely do.
They introduce this framework called RISE, Reset, Refocus. And they explicitly say that doing this in a vacuum is exactly why people fail.
Mm.
So why? Why is accountability the secret ingredient here?
It comes down to human neurobiology. We are highly adaptive social creatures, but the catch is we adapt to our immediate surroundings. If you are trying to elevate your life, but everyone around you is entirely comfortable in mediocrity, their social gravity will inevitably pull you back down. It's friction.
So the rise part of that framework isn't just about waking up early. It's the definitive decision to stop settling, which often means rising above the expectations of the people currently around you.
Exactly. Rise is the catalyst. Reset is the structural teardown we've been discussing, dropping the limiting beliefs and auditing the habits. And refocus is the fierce allocation of your energy.
Fierce allocation. I like that.
Modern life is quite literally a factory designed to manufacture distraction. Refocusing means ruthlessly eliminating anything that doesn't align with that new clarity, but doing all three of those things requires an immense amount of energy.
And when motivation fades, which we already established it will, you need an external force to keep you moving.
That external force is accountability and mentorship. As we discussed, most people already know what to do. You know you should sleep more, you know you should eat healthier, focus on your deep work.
Right, the information is all there.
But an accountable community ensures you actually do it when you're tired. Social pressure bypasses the part of your brain that wants to rationalize taking the easy way out. You won't negotiate with yourself if you know you have to report back to a mentor or a community.
Yeah, you don't want to let them down.
Exactly. And mentorship serves as a time machine. It shortens your learning curve by preventing you from making the mistakes they've already navigated.
I love that. Mentorship is a time machine. Let's bring this all the way down to the ground now. Let's give you, the listener, exactly what you need to start your own reset right this second, not tomorrow, today.
Yes, actionable steps.
The sources provide a 30-day blueprint for transformation. But I want to make sure we don't just list these out like a textbook.
Yep.
Let's talk about the friction points of actually executing this blueprint. Where do we begin?
You begin by hunting for the anchor. The blueprint asks you to identify just one habit that is holding you back. But the friction point here is that most people pick a symptom, not the disease.
Right. Someone might say, my bad habit is that I skip the gym every morning, but skipping the gym is just the symptom.
Exactly. Why did you skip the gym? Because you were exhausted. Why were you exhausted? Because you stayed up until 2 a.m. staring at a screen. That revenge bedtime procrastination is the actual heaviest anchor.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
You have to be brutally honest during this audit and find the root cause. If you only try to fix the symptom, the root will just sprout a completely new problem.
Once we find that root anchor, the next hurdle is the invisible barrier, which is identifying one limiting belief that needs to change. And this requires catching yourself in the act of negative self-talk.
Yes, you have to act as a third-party observer to your own mind. When you face a challenge and your brain automatically says, I can't handle this, you have to pause and actively rewrite that script. You write down the person you actually want to become. You create a vivid, undeniable picture of your destination.
So we have the root habit, we have the belief we are changing, and we have the destination. The actual execution is making the swap, replacing that one negative habit with one positive one. And again, this isn't about changing 20 things. It's about changing one thing consistently for 30 days. Why 30 days?
Because you need enough time to lay down a new neural pathway. You are rewriting the code. The first 10 days will be miserable because your brain is fighting you.
Naturally.
The next 10 days will be confusing, but slightly easier. By the final 10 days, the system is naturally starting to run the new program, but you have to track it. If you don't track your progress daily, you lose the micro-dopamine hits of seeing yourself succeed, which is what keeps you going during the messy middle.
The sources are also quick to warn us about the ways we ruin this 30-day window. And the biggest trap is cognitive overload.
Oh, absolutely.
Trying to change everything all at once. We want the new diet, the new workout, the new morning routine, the new business plan, and we want it all starting on Monday.
Which is a guaranteed recipe for burnout. Your brain physically cannot process that much change to its default settings at once. You have to embrace patience. You wouldn't plant a seed in the ground and then scream at the dirt the next morning because it isn't an oak tree yet, right?
No, of course not.
You have to afford yourself that same grace.
You really have to confront the discomfort of unfamiliar actions. It is supposed to feel weird. If it doesn't feel weird, you probably aren't actually changing. So I want to pose some reflection questions directly to you right now.
Listen closely to these.
Don't just let this be another audio track you passively consume while doing the dishes. Actually think about these. What is the root habit, the heavy anchor that is preventing your growth right now? What underlying belief has been quietly limiting your potential for years? And ultimately, who do you need to become to actually achieve the things you keep promising yourself on Sunday nights?
If you can carve out just 10 quiet minutes today to answer those questions with brutal honesty, you have already begun the reset. Remember that a reset does not magically solve all your problems.
No, it doesn't.
What it does is create the necessary space for your ultimate transformation. It clears out the static so you can finally hear the signal. When you systematically rebuild your thinking, your habits, and your priorities, you are finally laying down the reinforced concrete for a foundation that will actually hold the massive weight of your ambitions.
It's about doing the hard engineering work. Before we go, I want you to consider this one thought. The person you are right now, today, was constructed by the habits and decisions you made 3 to 5 years ago.
Right.
Which means the person you are going to be in 2031 is currently waiting on the choices you make today. What kind of foundation are you pouring for them? Are you going to leave them stuck with the same old patterns? You have to upgrade the system before you can run the new life.
Well said.
If you want to join the Victory with Ash community, use the link available in the description.
Highly recommend it.
Thank you for patiently listening to this episode. I appreciate your time, your attention, and your commitment to becoming a better version of yourself. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep moving forward.
You cannot build a towering future on the crumbling bricks of yesterday. Pull the weeds, clear the ground, and choose your new foundation today.